Welcome back to another episode of Coldstream Rod Shop. I'm Derek Fraser. In this week's episode, we're going to keep on working on the 32.5 window coupe. Last week we put the cowl quarter panel on, and the week before the one on the other side, and now we're working up across the top of the cowl itself. If you've noticed, I've took out the 32 firewall that we put in here. That has been in there since actually we assembled the car. That was used to locate the front of the cowl, and I built the car backwards. When I put it on initially, it really needed that firewall to hold things in place. And as I took it out, everything looks good, everything is the right shape, so we're kind of golden on that. As I said, there was a couple dents here. I already knocked out one of the dents. I've got this gash to replace, and then along here we've got some rot basically along the firewall band. My plan, I think right now, is to use this, or a piece like this that I made for the front. This is the same bead actually as what I put on the front of the quarter panel, so I'll more than likely make some more of this up, and then I'll be able to cut out whatever piece I need here, and then I'll be able to make this repair along the top of the cowl. The cowl vent itself is pretty much toast. The owner has given me another cowl which looks like it's salvageable. There's no holes into it. I'm gonna take it apart, cut it out kind of thing, and see what kind of shape it's in. There are a few other pieces. Absolute worst case scenario, we have a complete cowl that I bought from Brookville. I don't think we're gonna have to use this, but absolute worst case scenario, I get a brand new reproduction one that we would put in. If anybody watches LG Customs there a couple weeks ago, he actually bought the same one and he put it on his 32 sedan. Hopefully we don't get to that point. We're gonna try and salvage and use that one and put it in place. This is a little more expensive to use, so just put that there for now. So follow along this week, and I'll try and get the top of this cowl all fixed up. Here we are. I decided to attack doing the cowl vent first before I repaired this lip or even messed around with the hole in the side. So what I started with, I looked at all the different pieces here, and like I said earlier, you know, worst case we used the Brookville one, but I think I got a plan right now to use that piece I showed you a couple minutes ago. What I started with is I messed around with it until I could get it free. The original, I've got it sitting in here right now, but I got the cowl vent free by heating it up and basically putting a little bit of wax to it and wiggling it around. So cowl vent in here, it moved up and down. So then I cut it out. But one thing I discovered when I cut it out, there was a lot of lead, there was a lot of damage. So I can't actually go too far out into this sheet metal. I kind of really have to cut only the best of that cowl vent. So right now I cut what was left of the cowl vent out of the coupe. I made some marks here, both on the coupe here and also this donor piece. And what I've done, I made the hole just a little bit smaller than what this cowl vent is. So right now it's sitting in the hole. I've got some Clecos here holding it in place in the back. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna take my mini grinder with the tiny little wheel, and I'll cut along the edge here. And then I'm gonna weld it along here. Then I'll take the Clecos out and I'll work around the back, and hopefully we can get in there. And if I take my time, you know, just welding every couple inches or so, letting it cool and work my way around, I shouldn't get any distortion. It's worked well for me so far. So once we get that in place, I'll clean that up, and then that's the cowl vent that I took off. So that came off easy enough. So gonna keep on working on this. Hopefully we'll get this welded in place here tonight, and we'll show you some more. cowl vent's all welded in, as you can see from the time lapse. I finished welding all the way around. I've got it dollied out pretty good. With old metal being welded to old metal, I have a little harder time with that, but it's pretty good now. So the cowl vent works, opens and shuts. There was a couple pinholes down inside the groove here that I also fixed up, and then I just used a little tiny die grinder to kind of dress it up. I mean, ultimately what's going to sit in that groove is you're going to glue in a great big rubber gasket that goes into that groove. But cowl vent's in, works good. Just have to salvage a handle out of the spare parts there, get the spring and the detent hooked up to it. Next up, either going to fix the hole over here, or I'm going to start working on this nice little rot here around the cowl band. The cowl band itself actually is perfect. Little rust onto it, but the sheet metal here that actually laps into the cowl band is the issue here. So wait and see, well, how we go with that. Well, like normal, things take a little longer than expected. So I started working on the gash here. Basically, I don't know what it was. I don't know if somebody hit it with a pick, but it's some sort of a puncture. So I thought about actually cutting a hole and welding a piece of metal into it, but I decided to do the old stitch technique. I hammered basically it as flat as I could, and then I just started working, and I worked all the way around the hole till I closed it up. One advantage of doing that is there's a lot of heat. The bad thing is when there's a lot of heat, there's a lot of distortion, but the good thing is when there's a lot of heat, when it shrinks, it'll actually pull the metal back in and flatten it out. So essentially what I did, I just started working my way around and then just dollying and flattening. Eventually there was quite a bit of metal there built up, so I ground the outside, I ground the inside, and I've been just basically dollying it and making sure it's as flat as possible. It's not to the point where you can just apply paint to it and that's it. It's going to have to take a little skim of body fill on it, much the same as the rest of the car, but that's the pretense of the work we're doing here. How far do you go? Do you go to the point where the metal is perfect and spend, hundreds of hours working onto it, or do you do what we're doing here? We make the panels, we make the repairs. You basically allow for that, worst case 1/16 inch of body fill that's going to go over it, but basically make everything sound and straight as possible. So next up, on the next video, I'll be working on the lip here. We don't have enough time this week to do it. And also up around the windshield here, I was just describing to the camera lady, I noticed this hole here. I thought it actually was a hole that was part of the body, but it's actually not. If I line that up with where the bullet hole was over there, this is actually an exit hole for a bullet. So I realized that that's got to be closed up. But we'll cover that on the next episode. Like I said, I'll start working on the cowl band lip here. Whether I do a repair all the way around or just fill it in, watch us next week and see. That's it for this week. Please like, share, tag, and subscribe. And of course, love to hear from you in the comments. Everybody, have a great week and a great weekend. Take care.